Rumors are starting to swirl, and we anticipate an announcement soon.
Probably as soon as this video comes out. Hey everyone, Ben and Nob here, and this is our second
Of many.
HHN 33 speculation videos. We're ecstatic to talk about HHN season that's coming up very quickly.
We are just over 180 days, depending on when you're watching this video, away from opening night, or what we speculate will be opening night.
HHN's gonna be here before you know it. We have seen rumors, we have seen speculation. There are a number of content creators out there talking about upcoming spec that we can see at HHN 33. So we want to add to it and dispel some of the rumors that we don't believe are true. Without further ado, let's jump into the most important topic about HHN.
Houses. The first house we want to talk about, and we talked about this in our first speculation video, is Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Kind of hammering that one home, aren't we?
The code name that we think is associated with Creature of the Black Lagoon is Flan. Now stay with us. Flan is a wet dessert.
It's wet and jiggly.
Creature from the Black Lagoon lives in the water, so wet dessert, water, Creature of the Black Lagoon. We crushed it.
Also, when you look at the top of a well-made flan, it kind of reflects stuff just like the top of a lagoon. I think that might be a little too simple of a connection to the code name. However, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Creature is probably the last of the original monsters that Universal hasn't really portrayed in an HHN house. So we think it is prime time that he gets his house.
I can see Creature coming to HHN 33. I know in prior videos we talked about an upcoming Monsters movie that Universal's putting out, but skip that one out, throw it out. Let's bring Creature and let's do a Monsters house focus on Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Don't think he'll be in the house alone.
No, he's gotta fight something.
He's gotta fight somebody.
Right? Or like be a part of something.
He will be in a house though.
It'll be interesting. The second house that we want to talk about today, we talked about it before. Five Nights at Freddy's.
There are some updates with the Five Nights at Freddy's rumors though.
There's been a number of folks who have been saying, oh, it's not happening. Five Nights at Freddy's won't be there. That said, we don't believe it.
Great misdirection, Universal.
We don't believe it. I think it is misdirection. It's too good of a house, or a potential house, to not bring to HHN 33. We have a code name of Pie, which goes really well with a pizza pie, like at Five Nights at Freddy's, being an arcade pizza place, all of that. And then also, like, it killed in the box office. They're already in the process of planning to film Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and just in general, like, it would make a absolutely terrifying house to walk through. It would be so, so good.
The animatronics would be awesome. Like we said, we really think this is just misdirection in order to talk about it more, so that it could potentially be one of the, I suspect, first announcements that Universal would have. Two code names that we suspect for this next one could be Pie, that we just talked about, as well as Cobbler, and that is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving wasn't our favorite movie. We will admit that we have not finished the movie.
Yeah.
But with Pie and Cobbler being very common Thanksgiving desserts, Thanksgiving could make an appearance at Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah. I know it could, and I've heard people talk about it. And the idea, before we even watched the Thanksgiving movie, or the half of it that we've watched so far, like, it looked like it could be interesting. Personally, from what I've seen so far, I think Thanksgiving as a HHN house may be more interesting and better than the actual movie is for us. But that said, like, it's possible. Is it as exciting as Five Nights at Freddy's? Not in my opinion. But if you're into more
freaky,
yeah, which is not like, Freaky was a good house. Black Phone was a good house, but like, that's like comparing the Blumhouse Freaky and Black Phone to The Weeknd. I thought The Weeknd was really good comparatively. And so I would prefer Five Nights at Freddy's over Thanksgiving.
The next one we also talked about originally, but there are some updates with it as well, and that is Beetlejuice 2.
I believe Beetlejuice 2 is going to have a house this year. And we'll talk a little bit more at the end of this video why I think he's going to have a house. But first and foremost, The release date of the Beetlejuice 2 video is out, and it will be coming out in early September. I think that this lines up spectacularly with HHN to be able to open HHN, have the movie launch, and also have a corresponding house within Universal Studios. Like, how well played of a marketing device would that be? Second, I've got a code name that this lines up with, in my opinion, but you're gonna have to follow me on it. So, like, But what do you think? What do you think about Beetlejuice?
I think because they've done Beetlejuice 1, they already kind of have a premise of which, and like, obviously they will have seen the movie prior to it even being announced as a house, so they'll have an idea of what they want to build as the facade. I think it's possible. It will depend on, I'm sure Universal will go over the data points with Beetlejuice 1 and kind of the headaches that I'm sure they dealt with Beetlejuice 1 of whether they're going to do a Beetlejuice 2 house.
I think the amount of people I know that have asked for another Beetlejuice house makes me go, seems like they should bring one back. As far as that code name goes, Fudge. It is a newly released code name, and they're not talking about us. So fudge, one of the best ways to eat fudge is with walnuts in it, and guess who's a nut?
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Quite the stretch on the code name, but
hey, code names are always a stretch.
Sometimes you just gotta go for it. So
this next one is a bit in flux and a bit of a debate whether it will be here in the summer or at HHN.
Or both.
Or both. And that is Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters has their 40th anniversary this year. On top of, there's a new Ghostbusters movie coming our way.
And there's a code name that we can associate with Ghostbusters. One of the code names that was released was S'mores. What are in S'mores?
Marshmallows.
And what's in Ghostbusters?
Marshmallow Man.
So S'mores, marshmallows, Marshmallow Man, Ghostbusters house at Halloween Horror Nights.
That one is arguably the best code name distinction and trail that we've got
so far.
And also the way Universal would typically do code names, in my opinion.
Now, there have been rumors that Ghostbusters will be a part of the summer tribute store.
And by rumors, you mean me saying that?
And I don't believe that if it's at the summer tribute store, that it will be at HHN. They'll get one or the other.
Fair. Would you prefer a Ghostbusters house based off of the original Ghostbusters, or based off of this upcoming movie where it's more like, here's a preview, kind of like what they did with Exorcist?
Here's what I'll say about Ghostbusters, and it doesn't really answer your question at all.
Lovely.
If you get Ghostbusters, you're not going to get a Beetlejuice or vice versa.
Why?
Just what I think.
You have no reasoning behind it.
No real reasoning behind it, but I'm sticking to it.
You're like, it's a gut.
It's a gut feeling that you're going to get one or the other.
I personally, if we're talking about having an original Ghostbusters house or a new Ghostbusters like preview movie house, I'd rather have the original. I think that could be pretty darn cool, especially if you were to like walk through it in one of the big scenes, if they were using a big area for it and you have a giant Marshmallow Man head, like, or body, like the size of Kong, the size of Kong with a Marshmallow Man, and you're just like, frightening, but also very funny at the same time, and then get sprayed with ectoplasm.
He slimed me.
The next IP that we think also is celebrating a 40th anniversary this year.
This one's definitely way up your alley compared to mine.
Now, Universal virtually every year has a slasher film as a Halloween Horror Nights house, and we think that this year's will be Nightmare on Elm Street, similar to Ghostbusters because it is also celebrating a 40th anniversary this year. There would be some pretty cool scenes because you can only see Freddy when you're asleep, so if you're awake, there could be floating bodies and things like that.
Would you be like walking into somebody's dream, but then bouncing back and forth between like dream state and then like they're sleeping and like getting murdered?
Creepy.
And also just people in Freddy costumes.
Very similar to the Exorcist feel is kind of how I imagine how you jumped in between the demon world and the real world. So you'd be jumping in between sleeping and being awake. So like there'd be scenes where you can't see Freddy because you're awake, and then you jump into the dream world and be able to see him.
It's like you've planned this. Are you helping build
the main cohorts?
We only have a few more houses left that we are speculating this go around. The next one, I don't have much to say about it because I have not actually watched these movies. So I'm gonna let Ben expand on it a little bit more. But another house that we think might be an opportunity for HHN 33 is Strangers.
Strangers is really playing off the idea of the threes that would be evident in HHN 33. In the Strangers movie, there's 3 people, as well as the fact that you're playing on the trilogy idea of Strangers. Now, I think you could expand this, that we're going to have 3s throughout Halloween Horror Nights 33, but the rumor we've been hearing about is Strangers. I've only seen Strangers 1, so I can't speculate about Strangers 3. I imagine they're probably pretty similar movies, though.
That one seems a little far off for me.
I'm not sure about this one. It seems a bit of a stretch.
The final house that we have, I am pretty stoked about the idea of this one. It's really interesting, in my opinion, how there's always such a great variety. And so I think about the houses that I tend towards versus the ones that you tend towards. And when it comes down to it, like picking between all of them to kind of get a good assemblement is interesting. But this house would be one that I would choose to bring to HHN, and that is Fall of the House of Usher.
Now, we have a code name that we also associate with House of Usher. So if you've seen it, you'll understand that there are a ton of layers to the Fall of the House of Usher.
Storyline over storyline over storyline over storyline over storyline.
And what has all these layers?
Into
Baklava.
So one of the additional code names that has been recently released, or at least that we just saw.
Originals.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
I do not recall. And so Baklava has a lot of layers to it. If you ever made it, it takes quite a while as far as the layering goes. And Fall of the House of Usher also has layers. A number of you wrote in our comments in our prior spec video that you would love to see House of Usher. And I think just in general that the story there is creepy. Would have some amazing scenes of walking through a house and telling the story of the Usher family and their demise, basically.
I'll take it one step even further to the relationship that Universal already has with Netflix. And if they want to continue to foster that relationship in order to use some of Netflix IPs, this fits perfectly for Halloween Horror Nights.
Yep. And we, aside from this one, aside from Fall of the House of Usher, there is not a Netflix connected IP yet that we're aware of.
We also want to touch on some of the other key elements of Halloween Horror Nights. So next we're going to talk about shows.
Water show.
Yes.
Coming back.
It looks like the water show will be back for summer. So having a Halloween Horror Nights water show just makes a ton of sense.
I think they'll use the summertime to really get everything tested out, look out the kinks, make sure everything's flowing appropriately. And then I think we can expect a water show back at HHN this year. The water show really helps spread people out. It really does help give an additional opportunity in that waterfront area. And it's fun. Now, I would be curious to see how they'll theme it and what it'll look like, but we've got no clue on that at this point. Next, one of our bigger concerns and questions is Nightmare Fuel. Now, if you guys aren't aware, we are huge Nightmare Fuel fans. So talking about this one and the concern that we have,
it hurts.
It hurts.
The rumor is that the Fear Factor Live stage will be demoed starting in March or April.
Universal, please don't.
And so the concern is that if it does start getting demoed in March or April, where are they going to put Nightmare Fuel if they can't put it in Fear Factor Live?
We have 2 options for it that I'm aware of.
Blue Man Group, which is one. Now
which is indoors.
Yep. Fire Marshal's going to be busy.
No, like, I think if they bring the Nightmare Fuel into the Blue Man Group, the Fuel Girls aren't coming. Like, that sounds so unsafe.
I'm sure Universal does pyrotechnics in the sound stages and things like that they have.
I'm pretty sure pyrotechnics all have to be outside, in my opinion. But, like, I think if they move something into the Blue Man Group area, they very well could. They could put something over in Blue Man Group and have it run during HHN. But I don't think it will be Nightmare Fuel. I think they will find another option, or they'll bring back prior shows that they used to have which there have been people asking for them. Your other option could be putting it in the animal actors area, which allows you an outdoor setting. Maybe they won't run animal actors during that time because it's not like you're going to restage things, or it's not like you're going to have like Fuel Girls dancing around where a dog does tricks and a bird flies out, you know, like that'd be weird. But then you'd have your outdoor setting and you'd have probably a smaller seating area, but at the same point, a similar style setup. That sounds more appealing to me than Blue Man Group. So I guess I'm gonna keep my eye on whatever is going on with animal actors for a while, just in case.
Just in case. And our last show/attraction, Death Eaters.
Yes.
Yes.
Please, always more. Especially if for some reason Nightmare Fuel can't happen, and then we have a water show, you have to have Death Eaters to spread them out. But, tell me, when you think of ballerinas, when you think of vampires, when you think of little girls, what do you think of?
Abigail Horde.
Abigail Hordes.
Very similar to the Megan Hordes of last year, but even more so with dance. Abigail's a movie that comes out this year, which is about a ballerina vampire.
Yeah.
Fits perfectly for our horde.
It really does, and we originally thought that Abigail movie, which was teased as a Universal Monsters movie, which I guess arguably she is, we thought that would end up being one of the houses, but no. As soon as we saw the preview for it, we were like, that's a horde. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have a bunch of little girl ballerina vampires that will dance and attack you.
With as popular as the Megan Horde was last year,
Yeah.
this one makes almost too much sense to not do.
Yep, exactly. My last question for us to go over today. You teased it during our live. Who do you think will be the icon for HHN 33?
There's a couple that I would love to potentially see, and I didn't think of one until that live the other day. The first one I thought of originally was, and he made a appearance at the tribute store last year, is Boris Schuster being the icon. Now, this is not Boris's first time at a HHN. He's been a theme throughout many HHNs of the past, but it would be interesting to see him as an icon for Halloween Horror Nights, maybe in combination with Bloody Mary.
Ooh, that could be very intriguing. When you told me Boris Schuster before filming this, I was like, that person sounds familiar. Who is this? And I could see there being a very well-written storyline backstory about Boris Schuster. And then if they were to tie it into Scare Zones, I think it can be easily done.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe we need to do a little bit of digging, but I'd be curious, like, if there could be something with Boris tied to that 33-3 trilogy-esque idea, because I bet you there's something out there.
Could make it, for sure. The second one that would be an interesting play and very creepy is drawing on the idea that Universal has partnered with McFarlane Toys. So our icon could be the Toy Maker.
Now, wasn't that the icon at Hollywood last year? Wasn't the Toy Maker at least the person who opened the park at Universal Hollywood?
Very similar. It'd probably be a very similar feel.
Now, it'd be creepy. I agree with you on that. But as soon as I feel like we're copying something that has happened over at Universal Hollywood, I go, no, we can find a better option. Not that it'd be bad. I want fresh stuff. I saw a rumor the other day, and I kind of like it, that there's potential that Beetlejuice could be the icon.
Disagree.
I don't care. I think Beetlejuice as an icon would be pretty funny. Although I think the concern would be the overall feel might not be as creepy. Like, I know that you are not the biggest Beetlejuice movie fan. We love him as an actor to go and do the meet and greets and like funny, all of that. But I know when it comes to like Halloween Horror Nights, you want scary, not funny scary. But I do think Beetlejuice would make a good icon.
If you disagree or agree with Aubrey's assessment of Beetlejuice, let us know in the comments.
I'm curious, how many of the code names do you think we have correct?
Or wrong, because they're probably wrong.
More likely wrong than correct, but I'm still gonna stick my guns to it with Baklava. Baklava is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. As we mentioned at the start of this video, it's likely that the YouTube gods will bless us with an announcement as soon as we release this, and we will have to film another one.
And we will bring it to you as soon as we can.
Yep.
If you got anything out of this video, we think you will love some of the exclusive content that we put on our Patreon, so check out the link in the description for that. Thanks for watching.
Bye.